him over. Let Brooks fly by.
That's exactly my reaction to Steph Curry's 2024 season so far. Because at nearly 36 years old, Steph Curry is somehow getting better. But the real question is, how? Well, it turns out Steph Curry has something on his mind that nobody's paying attention to. He has a scary plan. And as he gets deeper and deeper into his career, he's out to prove something once and for all. Allow me to explain. See, we thought we'd never see this version of Steph Curry again. In Steph Curry's unanimous MVP season, Steph shot 50% from the floor and 45% from the three-point line, and also had a true shooting percentage of 67%. And to put that in perspective, Rudy Gobert is the all-time leader in true shooting percentage at 67%, which makes sense because his shot attempts are all layups and dunks, but Steph Curry, who attempted more than 800 three-pointers in the 2015-16 season, had as good of efficiency numbers as a standstill beneath the basket player, like Shaq. But here's what I meant when I said I thought we would never see this version of Steph again. See, in the current 2024 season, and I get it, it's early, Steph Curry currently has a true shooting percentage of 68%. Yeah, if the season finished today, he'd be the new record holder. But here's exactly why that's so impressive. Aside from the fact that he's nearly 36, Michael Jordan, who is arguably the most efficient scorer of all time, never shot better than 50% from the field after his 8th season in the NBA. And that's after shooting at least 51% for 5 straight seasons from 87 to 91. Larry Bird was 31 years old in his last season, shooting at least 50% from the floor. Magic Johnson was 29 when he last shot above 50%. Kobe Bryant never shot above 50% in any single season of his career. Steph Curry at 35 is having maybe his single most efficient season ever, despite the fact that he's taken his highest volume of threes in his 15-year career, with over 63% of his shots coming from three-point range. But what if I told you Steph Curry was on a mission to prove something once and for all? What if I told you that the biggest reason behind Steph Curry's wild efficiency is something you probably aren't even thinking about? See, after Steph Curry dazzled us with yet another all-time great playoff performance with his 50-point outburst against the Sacramento Kings in last season's Game 7, the media, fans, and even players were left with no other choice than to be brutally honest and ask themselves, is that the greatest player ever at his position? Are we in fact witnessing the man who either has already or is on his way to surpassing the great Irving Magic Johnson as the best point guard in NBA history? It's a bold question to ask, and it's a debate that'll only grow louder and louder from here on out. And keep this in mind, Steph Curry finished the last regular season as the oldest player in NBA history to have a season with a scoring average of at least 25 points, with shooting splits of at least 49% from the floor, 40% from three-point range, and 90% from the free throw line. All before he put on that performance for the ages against the Kings. Undoubtedly, one of the reasons Steph got into this conversation of the greatest point guard ever is because of his incredible longevity. And if we put it side by side with other all-time greats, Steph Curry doesn't just stack up well. He has a strong case for being the best player ever into his mid-30s. He's at least in the ballpark of LeBron, who's dominating close to 40 years old. But then again, these numbers Steph put up last season and the numbers he's putting up this season, it's only a continuation of what he's been doing since 2015. You know, back when he became the NBA MVP for the first time. You see, we've become so accustomed to Steph's greatness that even as he continues to do the unthinkable, we just kind of expect it, you know? But now it's time to talk about the biggest reason why Steph Curry isn't just in the conversation for the best point guard ever. This might be the reason why Steph officially cements his legacy among the best of the best to ever play. Steph's career three-pointers are all the way up to over 3,400 in his regular season career, keeping in mind that it's now been nearly 2 years since he broke the NBA's all-time three-pointers record when he did it in December of 2021. But here's the thing about Steph Curry that is potentially going to transform his legacy forever. Steph Curry made 273 three-pointers last season, which ranked 7th in the league despite him playing in only 56 games. But that's what makes all this that much more unbelievable, and why Steph Curry has a realistic shot at putting the three-point record so far out of reach, it wouldn't even make sense to try to break it. Consider this. Steph Curry has averaged 63 games a season in his career. And if you also consider that Steph Curry is hitting an average of 292 three-pointers over his last 5 seasons, if we take these standards with some simple math, provided that Steph Curry plays in at least 63 games over the next few seasons, that would mean that Steph's nearly 3,500 career three-pointers would be up to 4,600 three-pointers after 18 seasons played in the NBA. 4,600 three-pointers. But hold on, what if we were to take his current pace and use that as our metric? Through his first 15 games of the ongoing 2024 NBA season, Steph Curry hit 80 three-pointers. This means he's on pace to hit 400 three-pointers on the season if he plays in at least 75 games. So if we went out on a limb and said that Steph Curry keeps this pace over the next 4 seasons while playing in at least 75 games per season, so 75 games, next 4 seasons, at least 400 threes a season, if he does that, that 4,600 three-pointers goes all the way up to a jaw-dropping 5,100 three-pointers after 18 NBA seasons played. If he's consistent with these numbers over the next 4 seasons, Steph is going to be so far ahead of any other human to ever play in the NBA from a three-pointer standpoint, we'll wonder why we ever even had this conversation in the first place about who the greatest shooter in NBA history was. And if Steph does this and maybe even adds a couple more pieces of hardware to his trophy collection, we might wonder why we ever even asked ourselves who the greatest point guard in NBA history is. If he somehow were to continue this incredible production, even past 18 seasons in the NBA, say 20, 21, or something unimaginable like 23 or 24 seasons in the NBA, then the question wouldn't be about the greatest point guard ever. No, the question's gonna be if Steph Curry is the greatest player ever, maybe the greatest athlete ever, I don't know. And I'm aware when it comes to any GOAT debate or trying to argue for your favorite player being ranked higher all time than some other player, much of it has to do with how much you won. You know, the chips, finals MVPs, regular seasons MVPs, on top of your individual statistical dominance. But as far as these highly subjective debates go nowadays, it might not even matter. Steph Curry might just play long enough and continue shattering record after record that he'll become the greatest point guard in NBA history by default because of the unbelievable statistical feats he has the potential to pull off. I mean, he's already undeniably a top 10 player in NBA history as we stand right now. And as far as his current status in the NBA goes, I don't think there's any knowledgeable fan out there that would argue that he isn't the best point guard in the NBA right now. But then we come back to the debate against Magic Johnson. For some fans, that 50-point Game 7 made Steph the hands-down GOAT of the PG position because of how he carried the worst road team in basketball to the second round without much help by his side. But for those still in Magic's camp, a championship with a finals MVP maybe, be it this season or sometime before he retires, that might be enough to convince the rest to come over to Steph's corner. Steph won't ever catch or surpass Magic in all-time assists, but Steph's got him in points. He will surpass Magic in steals and in all-star games, all NBA selections. He's got 2 scoring titles to Magic's 0. Couple all that with the fact that Steph Curry's longevity has already blown Magic's longevity out of the water and will only continue to widen that gap. There might come a time when we'll have to put Steph Curry in a class of his own. The way Steph has impacted the NBA and the way he's connected with fans is similar to what Michael Jordan did. It's that wow factor, you know? Steph not only inspired a revolution with his three-point shooting, but it's things like his elite handles, his selflessness, his off-the-ball movement that make him so entertaining to watch. Magic Johnson was the definition of a pure point guard, no doubt about it. He went 9 years in a row averaging double digits in assists. And at 6'9", he was the ultimate floor general and a triple-double machine. But the biggest difference between Steph Curry and Magic is that you can stop a passer like Magic if his teammates aren't making shots. Steph, on the other hand, is the definition of lethal and tough to guard. Being the only man ever to average 30 points in a season with shooting splits 50, 40, 90 will tell you just that. Steph and Magic are 2 different players cut from different cloth, but Steph's game is just impossible to plan for. As simple as that. You can't stop a guy who's shooting the lights out. Steph's shooting and his gravity off the ball make him probably the hardest person to guard ever. So the only thing left for Steph to chase is more NBA championships. A fifth NBA championship not only will tie him with Magic Johnson, but it'll move him past LeBron James, the same LeBron who's undeniably the best player of his era and someone who's arguably the greatest player of all time. And while Steph is set in stone as an all-time great, he just has to go that extra mile to put himself in rare air, you know? But what do you think? Does Steph need another title to pass Magic Johnson? And where would you rank Steph all time if he wins a fifth championship? Let us know down in the comments. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.